Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are still looking for another star, and if Bradley Beal is released by the Phoenix Suns and reaches free agency, the Warriors want to sign the forward. He could have the firepower to help the Warriors revive their NBA dynasty. Because they'll have several veteran stars mixed with a promising young core, this will bring balance to the roster. The Golden State Warriors could have used another consistent scoring guard throughout the team's unfortunate 2025 NBA playoff run. With the Warriors now aiming to supply their aging core of four-time NBA champion Stephen Curry, 2017 Defensive Player of the Year Draymond Green and five-time All-Defensive Team selection Jimmy Butler to have another go at title contention, the franchise will be exploring every option possible to add more of an offensive punch. According to recent reports, the Warriors' general manager Mike Dunleavy could even venture into the buyout market to scoop up a three-time All-Star and former 31.3-point scorer in a fit of desperation prior to a pivotal 2025-26 campaign. There are several teams, including the Milwaukee Bucks, Golden State Warriors, and Los Angeles Lakers, who have shown interest in Beal, sources said, Clutch Point's Brett Siegel wrote Saturday. Despite being mentioned in recent days as an emerging force to potentially poach Beal from Los Angeles, the Warriors' pursuit of the former All-Star has been exaggerated, sources said. Golden State, like several other teams, would surely give Beal a minimum contract if he were willing to accept such a deal and wanted to join them. Could this happen, and will the Warriors swoop in to steal Beal from the Clippers? Sure, anything is possible. However, it is unlikely that Beal will take a minimum contract. Upon his impending departure from the Phoenix Suns via contract buyout, the veteran shooting guard Bradley Beal will grace the open market as an unrestricted free agent, where Dunleavy and Golden State's front office wish to acquire his services on a team-friendly deal. The 32-year-old offensive threat averaged 17.0 points, 3.7 assists and 1.1 steals while knocking down 38.6% of his 5.0 attempts from three-point range in 53 appearances with Phoenix last season, and he could certainly impact the Warriors' rotation in a positive manner with a reduced role. As Curry enters his age 38 campaign, the legendary point guard will need a reliable partner in the backcourt to shoulder more of the scoring burden at times, a role that Beal can fill with relative ease. Whether Beal accepts a league minimum salary is another can of worms, entirely. Insider dismisses Jonathan Kuminga trade to Bulls, highlights fit issues with Warriors. The Jonathan Kuminga trade saga has been the key point of concern for the Golden State Warriors this offseason. While the Chicago Bulls were viewed as a potential landing spot for the 22-year-old forward, NBA insider Zach Lowe dismissed any notion of this on a recent episode of The Zach Lowe Show. He said, "I don't think Vucevic to Golden State is a thing. I don't think it's a thing, I'm not sure it really ever was a thing, on this current contract anyway." A trade rumor had linked the Warriors with the Bulls, with the proposal sending Kuminga to Chicago in exchange for Bulls big man Nikola Vucevic. While this had gained a lot of traction on social media platforms and among the Warriors fanbase, no such trade materialized. Instead, Golden State was left with negotiating Kuminga's contract extension while also debating their intentions to part ways with him. The 22-year-old has expressed his desire to leave the Bay Area in pursuit of his dream of becoming an All-Star. While he is an exceptional talent, it was quite clear that his fit with the Warriors was clunky. Lowe shed more light on why this created problems for both parties when he added, "I think we're all guilty of overcomplicating it a little bit. If he just defended better, I think he would have played more. I think the Warriors coaches would have let him grow, but the defense just hasn't been there consistently enough." Lowe's comments paint an interesting picture of the situation in Golden State. The Warriors' style of basketball, their motion offense, has always been predicated on unselfishness and movement without the ball. Players such as Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, who were effective without the ball in their hands, benefited the most from this. While perimeter shooting ability is typically a prerequisite for Warriors players, the franchise has featured enough players who break the mold. From Sean Livingston to Jimmy Butler, the Dubs have always featured a player with a contrasting style of play. Lowe's expectations of Kuminga present the forward as this type of player. Unfortunately, with Kerr placing more faith in Butler, primarily due to his experience, the 22-year-old is simply in the wrong environment to embrace that role, something Kerr has mentioned as well. Last season, Kuminga averaged 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds per game, while shooting 45.4% from the field and 30.5% from three-point range. Although his perimeter shooting leaves more to be desired, the young forward displayed an innate ability to create scoring opportunities through sheer athletic prowess. There is certainly a scenario in which Kuminga could thrive within the Warriors' framework, but it would require him to adhere to the role carved out for him. When considering his aspirations, this simply may not align. As things stand, the Warriors haven't shown any indication of trading him in the offseason. This hesitation has also held up other transactions. As the signing of Al Horford has been delayed further, potentially seeing the veteran shift interest to other teams, Golden State could consider re-evaluating its approach to the situation. Warriors connected to two-time All-Star, $60 million center as Al Horford alternative. The Golden State Warriors now have serious reason to sweat the possibility they may lose former Boston Celtics center Al Horford to a competing franchise in free agency. Mark J. Spears of Anscape appeared on the Monday, July 14 edition of NBA Today on ESPN and named three other teams that pose a threat to the Warriors' acquisition of Horford. Golden State, obviously, expected him to sign last week. He didn't. The Los Angeles Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, and Atlanta Hawks, I believe, are also interested in a nearly 40-year-old guy who also has retirement on the table. He's still considering retiring. He's not in any hurry. He's got a sixth kid coming on the way. He lives in Atlanta and Boston in the offseason. But I'm hearing that whether it's Golden State, and to a lesser extent the Lakers, being away from the family that far isn't going to be in that decision. Golden State made Horford its primary target heading into the summer, while the team continues to wait out the situation with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. If Horford lands elsewhere or decides to hang him up after 18 years in the NBA, the Warriors will need to find another option to procure the center they so desperately need. Free agency may no longer be the best bet if Horford removes himself from the board, or some competing team does. In that case, the Dubs may need to turn to the trade market. One possibility there is Chicago Bulls center Nikola Vucevic. Warriors, Bulls trade flipping Jonathan Kuminga for Nikola Vucevic may have legs. Nikias Duncan of the Dunker Spot podcast on the Yahoo Sports Network appeared on the Monday, July 14 edition of the Zach Lowe Show podcast, which is part of the Ringer Network. The two discussed the connection between Horford's persisting free agency, Kuminga's restricted free agency, and a potential Warriors trade with the Bulls swapping Kuminga for Vucevic. I've just been waiting on Kuminga to Chicago, Duncan said. I've been waiting on Vucevic to Golden State for, it feels like, months. Lowe countered immediately, saying that he doesn't see such a deal developing between the Warriors and Bulls this summer. I don't think Vucevic to Golden State is a thing, Lowe responded. I don't think it is a thing. I'm not sure it ever really was a thing, on this current contract, anyway. Nikola Vucevic better, more expensive player than Al Horford at this point in respective careers. Vucevic is entering the final season of a 3-year, $60 million contract that pays him $21.5 million in 2025-26. The two-time All-Star will play next season, the 15th of his NBA career, at 35 years old. That means the Warriors would get a player 4 years Horford's junior if they traded for Vucevic instead. Furthermore, if that move was a sign-and-trade involving Kuminga, the team would solve its center problem and its Kuminga issue in one deal. Vucevic, a two-time All-Star, averaged 18.5 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 3.5 assists last season, all well above the output from Horford, 9.0 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. Horford will cost less and is a better defender than Vucevic, but Vucevic is the better shooter and floor spacer, connecting on 40.2% of his 4.4 nightly attempts from behind the three-point line last year. Golden State appears to have a 2-year window of championship contention remaining, as that is the timeline for the contracts of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler III and Draymond Green. Vucevic isn't the perfect fit and he is pricey, especially if the team wants to add more, but it's all in time in the Bay Area. As such, if Horford slips between the Warriors' proverbial fingers, the time may be right for the Dubs to take a one-year swing on a player like Vucevic, particularly considering they could clear his salary off the deck following the 2025-26 campaign. Insider gets honest about his expectations in Warriors offseason. The Golden State Warriors have been very quiet so far during the offseason, which is a big disappointment for fans of the team. Those fans were hoping for something substantial to happen behind the scenes in order to help the team do even better next season. Appearing on ESPN, insider Mark Spears summed up the emotion that will revolve around the Warriors for the rest of the summer. Frustration, Spears said, via "Oh no he didn't." According to Spears, the Warriors might not do much in the weeks and months ahead. When the summer began, there were a lot of rumors and tons of speculation about Golden State. Many predicted the team would lose Jonathan Kuminga, who cannot seem to find a reliable and consistent place in the team's lineup. But Kuminga hasn't gone anywhere, and it seems like he will stick with the Warriors next season, despite the ambiguity of his role on the team. The Warriors also apparently wanted free agent Al Horford. But, again, there is nothing new to report on that front, and Horford is still not a Warrior. At this point, some people are wondering if the team will do anything this summer or if they will enter 2025-26 looking just like they did at the end of 2024-25. To be fair, the Warriors were playing better at the end of the season, and the addition of Jimmy Butler was obviously a great move. However, they want to get better, and fans were hoping this summer would give them a chance to do that. But Spears doesn't think the Warriors will produce any big deals soon, and fans need to accept that. Warriors' failed Paul George trade pursuit is the gift that keeps on giving. Things continue to get worse for Philly. It's just over a year since the Golden State Warriors nearly made a blockbuster trade for 9X All-Star Paul George, leaving a major what-if for both player and franchise had the LA Clippers not been so staunch in their preference to let the veteran forward walk to the Philadelphia 76ers for nothing. George's time in Philadelphia has been nothing short of a disaster so far, with it only getting worse on Monday as ESPN's Shams Charania confirmed that the 35-year-old had undergone an arthroscopic procedure on his left knee to treat an injury suffered during a recent workout. Warriors continue to count their lucky stars for missing on Paul George. George's latest injury issues comes after appearing in just 41 games during his first season with the 76ers. When he did play, he was well below expectations after signing a 4-year $211.6 million contract with the franchise as a free agent last offseason. George averaged 16.2 points in those 41 games, easily the worst of his last 10 seasons. He also shot a pedestrian 43% from the floor and 35.8% from three-point range, both of which were well down on his previous 2 seasons with the Clippers. With George's arrival forming a star trio of he, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, Philadelphia were expected to be a force in the Eastern Conference. Instead, George and Embiid combined for just 60 games between them as the 76ers slumped to a 24-58 record and 13th in the conference standings. Philadelphia 76ers star Paul George underwent a successful arthroscopic procedure on his left knee Monday to treat an injury suffered during a recent workout, a team official tells ESPN. George will now begin a rehab program and be re-evaluated prior to start of training camp. Having drafted number 3 overall pick VJ Edgecombe at last month's draft, there's optimism that the 76ers can bounce back in a weakened Eastern Conference next season. However, that optimism is going to fade quickly based on this George news, along with recent reports that Embiid has yet to do any on-court work after his latest procedure 3 months ago. As for the Warriors, they can continue counting their lucky stars that the Clippers didn't accept their trade offer last year, which would have reportedly included Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody and a first-round pick. The failed George pursuit is the gift that keeps on giving for Golden State, who were eventually able to land Jimmy Butler for less of a trade package and on a shorter-term contract. The Warriors waived Paul and essentially turned him into DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, and Buddy Hield in free agency last year, with a season-ending injury to Melton then seeing them move him for Dennis Schroeder in December. Golden State finally traded Wiggins, Schroeder, and Anderson, along with Lindy Waters III, for Butler in early February, giving up what resulted as the 20th overall pick in the process. Even if George didn't sustain the same level of injury worries in the Bay than what he has in Philadelphia, there's little doubt that the Warriors are in a better position with Butler on a 2-year deal now rather than being stuck with the 3 years left on George's contract.